Hello, everybody. How are you today? Want to as always, every time I start class, I want to make sure that you guys can see me and hear me okay. So let me know, how are you guys doing? As always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, wherever you are at in the world. And again, I just want to check, can everybody hear me okay? Let me know. Can you guys hear me and see me okay? Let me know. Okay, oh, Rosa says, yes, we can hear and see you. And we have, first, welcome, guys. Welcome. I hope you are all doing very well once again, wherever you are at in the world. And it always makes me so happy to sign on and see all our lovely friends and students and our regulars that join us every week. Rosa, Leo, Diary, Natty. I don't know if Nora signed on yet, or Nandish. It's always good to see you. And Rosa, I saw in the comments that you broke your leg. Oh my goodness, my dear, I'm so sorry. About 10 years ago, I broke my leg in two places as well. And so I can sympathize, which means I feel sympathy. I feel sorry for you because I understand how terrible that can be. So my dear friend, Rosa, I hope that your leg that you broke, I hope that it heals very soon and that you have a quick recovery. Welcome from Algeria. Hello there. Wonderful. Okay, great. French Leo. Hello again, Rosa. Looks like we have some new students, so I'm so glad that you guys can join us. If this is your first time, my name is Abby, and this is Pre-Intermediate English. I am coming to you live from SCEL, which is the Spokane College of English Language in beautiful Spokane, Washington. So we are on the very east side of Washington State, right near the state of Idaho, and about 2 hours south of Canada. So very close. And Spokane, it's the second largest city in the state of Washington, and it's a wonderful place to live and a wonderful place to study as well. So if you've ever been interested in studying abroad and coming over to America and studying here, we would love to have you as a student at SCEL. But until then, I am so happy to have you as a student in our live classes. Once more, if this is either your first time joining us or you are watching the video later, you will notice that I look over to my left, and that's because we have a live chat feed going during class, and it's so great to see all my friends. But with that, because we have so many great students and the live chat feed can go quickly, I'm not always able to get to your comments or your questions. So if you have a question that you just absolutely need to know the answer to, or if you have any comments, including comments that might help us do better for our students with the Smrt Live classes, if you have any suggestions, please let me know. I am here for you. Teachers work for our students, so if there's anything that you would like to suggest or any questions that you might have, once this video is posted, please put those at the very bottom of the video, and I will do my best to get to your comments or questions. And while there, if you enjoyed today's video, if you enjoy the Smrt Live classes, make sure to give a thumbs up. And as a teacher, I'm giving all my students a thumbs up because you guys are here, and I know that for some of you, it's very early in the morning or it's very late at night, but you're still here willing and eager and excited to learn English together. And so with that, let's go ahead and get started. And today, as promised, we are going to be going over speaking about the future and future tense, as well as our really important vocabulary. And once more, at this level, at the pre-intermediate, you guys are so smart, you're so intelligent, you're such fantastic students that we have a good understanding of the base of English, and now we can really start adding to it. And in particular, our grammar at this level and our vocabulary. So learning new words, because as we know, the more words you know, the more you can say. And the more you can say, the better you can communicate with people. And that's one of the exciting things with us all learning English, is no matter where we're at in the world and no matter what language is our native language, when we learn to speak a collective language together, that allows us to communicate. And that's always really exciting to me. And it's always incredible to me that we can do it with technology. So that once again, I'm here live in Spokane and you guys are all over the world. Oh, we have a new student or returning student, Miss Fatima. Good to see you. Thank you for the hello. Rima, good to see you, my friend. Welcome. Baharat, hello. I'm so glad that you are joining class. And Rosa says, I'm still here as always. That's because I love Smrt class. I'm so glad that you love Smrt class. And truly, myself and all the other teachers, Mr. Joshua, Mr. Neil, Mr. Sean, that teach wonderful Smrt Live classes as well. You guys love the classes, we love our students, and we love Smrt English. So let's go ahead and with that, get started. I see a couple comments. The people have questions, maybe from past lessons. So this is video 49, I believe, 48 or 49, but I think it's video 49, which is awesome because it means that you have 48 other videos with Smrt Live and pre-intermediate English. 48 videos that you can go back and you can watch for free. And some of the questions that I see in our post feed, go back and check out some of those videos. And if it's not explained there or any of your questions, then once again, please feel free to post a comment, post your questions at the bottom of this video. And Kishore Ragi, and I hope I pronounced that correctly, welcome to class. Let's see, Louise, yes. Oh my goodness, again, it always makes my heart, always really makes me happy, guys. It truly makes me so happy to see you guys together. And Rosa says, yes, 49 classes. And at the beginning of this live stream, another teacher, the fabulous, absolutely incredible Miss Nicole, was teaching this class at the beginning, and then I jumped in and have been teaching it since lesson 31. So once more, if you would like to go back and watch some of the previous videos, it'll be with both Miss Nicole and myself. Once more, I'm Miss Abby. I'll be your teacher for today, and let's go ahead and jump into our lesson. Wonderful. Oh, and Eunice. And again, I'm so sorry if I ever, not if, when I mispronounce names. You guys are learning English, and I get to learn the beautiful names from all around the world. So let's see, where were we? Eunice, I hope I pronounced your name right, and welcome to class, as well as Roseanne and Hector, Azaid. So many great students. It really makes me happy. All right, going into our lesson. When we are talking about the future. So here's our example, speaking about the future. When I finish university, so when I finish school, when I finish university, I'll take a trip to the USA and Canada. And we know that all is short for I will. And with that, let's jump back to last week's lesson really quick. So just a quick review with our will form. I will, you will, he will, she will, they will, anything. We know that whenever we see an apostrophe, unless it's an apostrophe S that's showing possessions, our apostrophe lets us know that something has been cut out. Two words have been put together and have been shortened. So whenever you see the apostrophe LL, we know that that's shortened from I will, all, you will, you'll, he will, whole. So once more, when you see that apostrophe LL, that's shortened for will. And that is in our positive sentences. When we're speaking in negative, it's either I will not, or will not can be shortened to won't. And I always tell my students and apologize to my students, so I do so now to you as well. I apologize because sometimes language is crazy. And we know that sometimes the English language is a little bit crazy, and there's different rules that we have to know, that we have to memorize. And again, that's just really helpful to learn through practice, lots of practice. It's the best way to learn language and really the best way to learn a lot of things in life. But with that, here's an example of where English is a little bit crazy. If I shortened I will not or I'll not, I would shorten it to I won't. And that's WON apostrophe T. So won't is shortened from will not if we're using it in the negative. So I will not have time. I won't have time. You will not go home. You will not go home, or you won't go home. All right. And if that's a little bit unclear or you have more questions considering our will form, go back and watch last week's video, which is video 48. Thank you for Rosa for confirming that this is today's 49th video. And once more, if you have any questions or are a little unclear on our will form, go back to last week's video, number 48, and that's where we do the entire lesson. But real quick, I just wanted to review so that we know we have fresh in our minds our will form when we're talking about the future. So jumping back. When I finish university, I'll take a trip to the USA, United States of America, and Canada. So there is our first example sentence. Now let's start really breaking it down to how and why. So we know with clauses, what are clauses? Clauses are forms of a sentence, and a clause has to have a subject and a verb. Let's look at our example. The example sentence above that we just went over has two parts to it. Those two parts, once more, have to have a subject and a verb. So what or who we're talking about, and then our verb, what is happening, what is the action. So breaking it down, when I finish university, so I am the subject, finish is the verb, so complete, when I'm done. When I finish university, that's our first clause. Our second, I'll take a trip to the United States and Canada. So there in our second clause, I will take, right? So when I finish university, comma, I will take a trip to the United States of America and Canada. So once more, if you're taking notes or you're reviewing, here's what you want to have in your notes, that again, a subject and a verb makes up a clause. So with that, once more, a clause has to have a subject, who or what we're talking about, and then our verb, what's the action. And with that, every sentence in English must have at least one clause. And if you go back to videos 46 and 47, we talk about clauses and complete and full ideas that we have to have our subject, who or what we're talking about, and then our verb. What's the action? If we don't have that, then we don't have a complete or total thought. There's still more information. There's still more that we need to say to make it make sense. Now, with that, there are times, of course, sometimes sentences only have one clause. If we're just giving one idea or a short or simple idea, here's our examples. I love you. 3 words. 3 words, but it is a complete thought, and it has our subject and our verb, love. And I love you guys. I love my students. Oh, and Rosa says 1 independent clause and 1 dependent clause. Yes, that is one of the ways that we put together our sentence. An independent clause can stand alone. A dependent clause, like it says, like the name says, is dependent on the independent clause to form a full or complete idea. Great observation, great comment, Miss Rosa. Thank you so much. All right, so again, a clause, a sentence has to have a subject, has to have a verb, and sometimes the sentence only has one clause. I love you. Our second one, we're hungry. And again, we know that with our apostrophe R-E, we are. So we're hungry. We are hungry. That's just 2 words, but it's a complete idea and it's a complete sentence because it has our subject, us, we are hungry. Our last example, he's from Brazil. So he is from Brazil. And once more, making a little extra note to make sure that we're reviewing and we remember correctly, our apostrophe S either shows ownership or it shows that we shortened it down from he is to his. And real quick, I'm going to see if I can there we go. Screen's a little bit bigger. I hope that's helpful. So sometimes sentences do have more than one clause. That's what we're looking at today. So I woke up late because I didn't hear my alarm clock. I woke up late because I did not hear my alarm clock. So there we have 2 clauses. Let's break it down. What are our 2 clauses? I woke up late. So I and the subject, woke is the verb. And then we have our conjunction, which is our joining word. And if you're not familiar with conjunctions, stay tuned because just in a little bit in this lesson, we're going to go over our conjunctions and review those again. Looking at this first sentence, I woke up late. I am the subject. Woke is the verb. There's our clause. Because, there's my conjunction, which is a joining word. Because I didn't hear my alarm. Our second clause, I didn't hear. So I am the subject, hear is the verb. I woke up late because I didn't hear my alarm clock. And our second example, let's look at after the movie ends, we'll go out for dinner. We will go out for dinner. After the movie ends, so there's our subject and we have our verb. The movie is the subject, what we're talking about. Ends is the verb, so finishes. After the movie ends, we will go out for dinner. Our last one, what will you do if you don't have enough money? So if you're wondering, well, are these sentences just statements or can they also be questions? Yep, they can. They can also be questions. Our sentences can have more than one clause, and they can absolutely be they can absolutely be questions. So what will you do if you don't have enough money? All right, if you have any questions so far, let's stay tuned. Let's keep going on, and I'm hoping that they will be answered. And once more, we'll look really quick and a reminder of our conjunctions. So with time clauses, often we use a second clause. We'll use a second clause in our sentence, so we're making the sentence a little bit longer because we're adding more information. And in this case, when we're talking about time clauses, the information, the extra or additional information that we're adding is we're describing, so we're telling about, we use it to describe when something will happen, so when it will take place. In English, we usually do this with following words. There's our conjunction, all right? So once more, if you're taking notes, for you to remember, our conjunctions are words that join sentences or join clauses, that join those thoughts together so that you have your first thought, your first complete thought, and then the conjunction joins it together with your second complete thought, or as we're looking at today, our two clauses, which of course, once more, can also be in the form of a question. So looking at our conjunctions, when, and these are when we're talking about time, when, before, after, or until. Looking at these conjunctions and how we're actually using them and the examples. Before I got to work, there's our first clause. Before I got to work, I bought a coffee. Second example, when he takes a shower, he always sings. And in America, it's very popular, or it's common for people to sing in the shower. Sometimes I do. I'm wondering, is that all over the world? Do you guys sing in your showers as well? Let me see. And I think maybe because usually, of course, we take showers in the morning and we're excited for the day because each day gives us new opportunities, new things. Well, if you're coming to the Smrt Live class, new things to learn. And when I wake up every morning, unless I need a lot of coffee, when I wake up, I'm always excited that it's a new day. We know when we're happy, excited, we like to sing, so singing in the shower. Waleed says, yes, I sing a lot. Wonderful, good. Or singing in the shower. Leo, of course, Leo's talking about a little Bob Marley. When I think about the sheriff, I want to shoot him. I don't think Mr. Leo really wants to. He's, of course, making reference to the Bob Marley song, I Shot the Sheriff. Leo, you make me laugh. And then let's see, Baharat says, we call them bathroom singers. Very good. Oh, I love it. You're saying, yes, it's the same in our country, it's the same in our culture, and we even have a name for them or a title for them, bathroom singers. I like it. Okay. Oh, Rosa says, what's the difference between an independent clause and a sentence? Is it the same thing? Yes. An independent clause and a sentence can be the same thing because, again, both of them include a subject and a verb, and they're a complete and total thought. The one little difference is that a sentence is finished. A sentence is just by itself, it's finished. With our independent clause, we can add on to it. And when we add on to it with a dependent clause or add on to it with a second clause, that's when it forms a complete sentence and is ended. Great question, Miss Rosa. Excellent. And I hope I explained that right. Dari, made the wonderful observation. Thank you for posting that. Yes, an independent clause is a simple sentence. Absolutely. Wonderful. You guys are so great. You really are. Smart English, I think we have the best students in the world. Absolutely. All right. So let's continue on. We went before I go to work, before I got to work, I bought a coffee. When he takes a shower, he always sings. Third example, I'll call you, I will. I'll call you after I get home tonight. And our last one, can I stay here until I come back? Can you stay here until I come back? So with each of those, we're using our conjunctions, so that's putting two thoughts together or our two clauses together. And the conjunctions we just went over and reviewed: when, before, after, or until. Now, continuing on that thought, when we make time clauses and we're talking about the future, we use the present simple. After, when, before, until. And in this usage, the present simple has a future meaning. So we're talking about what will happen, what will take place, what we will do in the future. So English speakers in English, we usually use will in the main clause of the sentence. So looking at our examples, it'll be awesome, it will be awesome when your brother comes to visit. Second example, before I leave, I'll clean up. Before I leave, I will clean up. So as we're looking at that example, we're talking about the future. What will we do in the future? Well, number one, we're saying we're going to leave. Of course, if we're someplace in the future, we leave. And even more than that, when I leave, I will. Here's the focus. I will clean up. So our will is letting us know that we're talking about our future actions or our plans for the future. So before I leave, I will clean up. Third example, after we eat lunch, we'll go out for a walk. After we eat lunch, we will go out for a walk. So in this sentence, first we're talking about lunch. After we eat lunch. So once we're done with lunch, we will go out for a walk. So we're telling our future plans, what we want to happen, what we are planning on happening or planning on doing. We will go out for a walk. And then our last one, I'll be at work. I will be at work until I finish. So staying at work, I will be at work until. So there is our conjunction. It's putting those two thoughts together, and with that giving us more information, because I'm saying I will, it is my plan to stay at work until I finish. At that point, I can leave. So I'll be at work until I finish. I will be at work until I finish. Our will is talking about our plans or our expectations or what we want to have happen in the future. Now, as far as our time clauses, we can start our sentences with a time clause, or we can use them after the main clause. And in those examples that we just went over, we had a little bit of both. With these examples, we'll look at them side by side. So once more, we can start our sentences with a time clause, or we can use them after the main clause. Here's what you need to know. Here's what you need to remember, that if you start your sentence with a time clause, use a comma. We have to use a comma so that we have our first clause, our time clause, and then our comma, and then our second clause. So with that, if it's helpful, think about our first idea, and then again, with our conjunction, if we're using it in the middle of the sentence or after the time clause or the main clause, we need that comma. So we're taking a little pause, finishing one idea, taking a pause as we transition over to another. So once more, if you're taking notes, here's what I recommend you write down in your notes, that with time clauses, we can use them after the main clause, or if you start the sentence with a time clause, make sure you have that comma in the middle. Let's look at our examples for a little bit more clarification, so to make it a little bit more clear. So here in our first examples, we have the time clause and then our main clause, and that's when we use our comma. So when I get home, comma, I will make dinner. When I get home is my first clause. I will. I'm speaking about the future, my future plans. When I get home, comma, I will make dinner. Now, in the same way, saying the exact same thing, so giving the exact same information, if we start with our main clause and then have our time clause, we don't need our comma. I will make dinner when I get home. I'll make dinner when I get home. Both of these sentences are saying the exact same thing. I get home, I make dinner. If we start with our time clause and then our main clause, we know our main clause includes will when we're talking about the future. So when I get home, comma, I will make dinner. So if you're using your main clause secondary, that's when we need to have our comma. When I get home, comma, I'll make dinner. Has the exact same meaning if we switch around our main clause and our time clause. I'll make dinner when I get home. And there's when we're using as our conjunction because we have two ideas. I get home, I make dinner. That's a little bit confusing or you're not quite sure. Let's go down to our second example. Before class starts, so here we have our time clause followed by our main clause. So we know that's when we use our comma. Before class starts, comma, we'll finish our homework. We will finish our homework. Saying the exact same way, just switching our clauses around, we'll finish our homework before class starts. So once more, in both sentences, using both ways, either with main clause as beginning or the time clause at the beginning, I'm saying the exact same thing. We'll do our homework before class starts. So before class starts, we'll finish our homework. Exact same meaning, exact same way to express that we'll finish our homework before class starts. Looking at our third example, until you arrive, we won't start dinner. So once more, breaking it down, we have two ideas. We'll wait for you, we won't start dinner. So until you arrive, we won't start dinner. Starting with our main clause, we won't start dinner until you arrive. So again, if you're taking notes, or the rule that you need to remember with these is that we have our time clause, then our comma, and our main clause. Or we can switch it around and start with our main clause and then our time clause. And in that case, we don't need a comma. So give me 1 second. I'm going to look over and see if we have any questions. All right, great, wonderful. So there is our lesson. It's kind of a quick one today as far as our grammar, talking about the future and using our time clauses. And once more, let me jump back real quick when we're talking about will. So what we will do, what our plans are for the future. I will, all, you will, you'll, so on. Or if it's in the negative, I will not, I won't. If you want more information, if you want more clarification on will and the negative won't, once more, go back to last week's video, to video 48, and it'll explain it in more detail for you. But with that, we are done with grammar. Is there any questions? Leo says all these comma rules. Yeah, I know. Again, in English, really in all languages, but I can only speak about English, of course. We do have a lot of funny rules, and there are a lot of rules with comma. So, Leo, I agree. Kishore asked, after getting home, comma, I'll make dinner. Absolutely. We can also switch it around and say, I'll make dinner after I get home. Absolutely. And let's see, Rosa asked, I won't go jogging as long as and we wouldn't say got, we would say have. As long as I have the cast on my leg. So there you go, my dear. I won't go jogging as long as I have the cast on my leg. There you go. Wonderful, my dear. And yes, I agree with that. Oh, Rosa, my sweet friend, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you have to have a cast on your leg. I hope you heal soon. Okay? Wonderful. If I was there with you, my friend, I would bring you coffee. So that you don't have to go out and get coffee, I would bring it to you, my friend, and we would sit and have coffee, and I would tell you once more how sorry I am that you broke your leg. All right. Oh, and Leo asks, in daily life, is there really a difference between the uses of going to or be going to and will forms? No, not really. Not really. In daily life, and especially with speaking, because as we know, a lot of times we speak more informally, so less formally than we write. So if I'm understanding your question correctly, my wonderful friend Leo, is there a difference between the uses of going to or be going to and will forms? No, you could use either one of those. All right. Now, are you guys ready? We finished our grammar and we got through it pretty quickly. So let's go over now to our vocabulary. And I'm going to back up a few words and just say or pronounce these words again in review. I had a request to go back each week and review, speak, let you guys hear once more the words. So our first one in review, free, F-R-E-E, that double E makes it the E sound, free. Get together, so get together, come together. Goal, so having that O and then the A are two vowels, gives us that O, goal. Graduate, gym. History is where we left off last week. So in review, history is just the true story of what has happened in the past. So we would say nonfiction. Fiction is made up, right? Someone has created it. Fiction is made up or imaginary. Nonfiction means it's true. So we consider history the nonfiction account or story of what has happened in the past. So that with that, as with our example, the history of the country is very interesting. So a country has history, a city or a town has history, a school, a university, even us as people, we have our own personal histories. So what we have experienced or the true story of what has happened in our past. In all of those ways, it would be appropriate to use history, right? So here we go, starting on with this week's vocabulary and information. Could you give us information about the exam? An exam is one of our vocabulary words from earlier. An exam can just be synonymous, so be used the same as test or quiz. So the student is asking, could you give us information about the exam? So information, or to inform someone is to give them knowledge. So could you give us knowledge about the exam? And in this way, we're using knowledge as we need more information. We need to know more. So can you let us know what to study? Can you let us know what might be included, what might be on or a part of the exam? Could you give us information about the exam? So even if you want to know if you're visiting a new city or you're visiting a new country, part of learning the history is information. So knowledge of what has taken place in the past, knowledge of the history of a place, information. That's a way of getting information, right? So information is our vocabulary word. Look for. What are you looking for? What did you lose? So look for is our phrasal verb, and it literally means exactly what it says. To look for something, to try to find it. So in our example picture here, the young lady is obviously upset. And yes, I get upset because it's so frustrating if you lose your keys or you lose your wallet or purse or your cell phone. That's the worst, when you lose your cell phone and you have to go look for it. So try to find it. So look for is our phrasal verb. Look for just means trying to find. So that we could even say, I'm trying to look for a good place to eat lunch. Or I'm trying to look for a place where I can buy a new phone. It just truly means trying to find. So look for. Major. Now, again, as with last week and previous vocabulary, once more, we know that English can be a little bit crazy, and there are a lot of times where one word can be many or multiple parts of speech. Major is our example. And with that, in my classes when I'm teaching vocabulary, I let my students know what the vocabulary means as far as what we are looking at. So in this unit, we're talking about goals and we're talking about academics, so schools. So for our purposes and our vocabulary, when we talk about a major, we're talking about what we plan to study. So your major in college or your major the university is the area that you plan to study. So in my first degree, I studied sociology and philosophy. So sociology was my major. When I went back to school to get my master's, it was in teaching. So major is what you are studying. But major can also be used as an adjective to mean important or very, very important. And major can also be used as a noun. You probably won't hear it or won't hear it often, but just so you know, major can also be used as a noun, and that is an officer or a ranking in the Army or the armed forces. But once more, for our purposes, for our unit and our vocabulary, when we're talking about major, we're talking about what someone is studying at the college or university. So major. Note. And with that, I'm going to, Rosa says, I'm majoring in applied linguistics. So linguistics is the study of language, and that can be in a lot of different areas of language and linguistics, and applied would be our adjective. So talking about language, but actually not just the history of language, but how it is implied, how we actually use it. That's wonderful, Rosa. I'm so happy for you. That's a fantastic major, and I know you'll do very, very well. All right. Great. Oh, and Kishore says looking for, searching. Yep, we could say looking for, searching for something. Absolutely, absolutely. And Rosa confirmed that as well. Okay. Arjun, if I pronounce that right, asks, what is the difference between knowledge and information? Great question. And a lot of times, in a lot of ways, we could use knowledge and information synonymously. So again, we could use them in the same way. There's a lot of times knowledge and information could be used as synonyms. Or I would say one little difference is when you learn new information, you gain knowledge. Right? But we wouldn't say as you learn more knowledge, you gain information. We would say as you learn more information, so you know more things. For example, that's why we go over vocabulary, and that's why we have so much vocabulary, because you're getting information on new words, how they sound, how to pronounce them, of course, what they mean. So the vocabulary is information, and it's adding to your knowledge. So what you know. When we break it down, as I just said, knowledge, know. So what you know, what you understand. Information, inform. So inform is to tell. Right? So I hope that answered your question and gave you a little bit of clarification between knowledge and information. But it is true that a lot of times, in a lot of ways, we could use those two words interchangeably as synonyms. Great question, my friend. All right, so our next word, note. All right, and again, this is another word. This is yet another word in English that can have multiple meanings. So if I would say, please take note, not take notes, but please take note of the different rules. That means please be aware. Please make yourself aware. Now, if I added the S and said, please take notes, that actually means writing down. So note, could you share your notes from class? So notes for our purposes and our vocabulary in this unit, notes is when we write down information. There you go. When we're not writing down knowledge, we're writing down information so that we have that knowledge. So note or notes. Can you share your notes from class? And as I just said, even a little bit ago when we were going over the specific rules with our clauses and our time clauses, and I said, if you're taking notes, here's what you need to make sure that you understand. So here's the most important information. Most important information is what you include in your notes. And then, just so you know, in music, we also use notes as different parts of music. So different ways that music is played, different notes. On a piano, each key of the piano is a different note, has the sound of a different note. Playing the guitar, each string is a different note, so a different sound. But once more, for our purposes, talking about goals and academics, when we're talking about notes, we're talking about information that we're writing down so we have knowledge. Nurse. She works as a nurse in the city hospital. So a nurse can be both male or female. It's gender neutral. It can be historically, most nurses have been female, have been women. But we know that nowadays in modern times, there are a lot of male nurses as well, so that nurse is gender neutral. It doesn't mean man or woman. Nurse is someone in the medical field, and if it's helpful, think right below doctor. So the doctor is the highest, and then the nurse is underneath. And so there's lots and lots and lots of different kinds of nurses. There can be nurses that only work with children, or nurses that only work with, as we see in this picture, the elderly or older people. But a nurse is someone within the medical field. They're right below a doctor. So here's our illustration. She works as a nurse in the city hospital, and of course, that would be a noun. Pass. For our purposes, we're talking about pass as in pass a test, or pass a quiz, or pass an exam, using one of our vocabulary words. So one of our earlier vocabulary words was fail, F-A-I-L. So it means to receive a low grade, to not succeed or not complete, to fail. The opposite of that would be pass. Now here's what we need to know. When we're talking about pass as in passing a test, you can pass and get a very high score, or with our example here, I didn't do well on the test, but I passed. So you can get a low score, but still pass. For instance, if you need to get a 70% on the test, so 70% on the test to pass. If you get 69%, you don't pass. You do not pass. We would say at 69%, you failed the test. At 70%, you passed the test. Just a little bit, so that once more, pass can mean different levels, or you could pass and get 100% on the test, but it just means to succeed, to complete, to pass. So in this case, for our purposes, pass would be the antonym of fail. But again, make note that you can pass a little bit or you can pass a lot. All right? Picnic. I love picnics, and Spokane has so many parks. We are actually famous in Washington State for having a lot of beautiful, beautiful parks. One of our very historical, so history, the adjective would be historical. One of our historical parks in Spokane, every spring my students and I take a trip up there, and we actually walk around the park and have class at the park, because our parks are beautiful, and with that, they're wonderful places to enjoy a picnic. So we're having a picnic this afternoon at the park. So what's a picnic? Picnic is a noun, it's a thing, and it's just eating a meal, usually lunch or dinner, eating a meal outside. But not just outside, but going somewhere. So that, yes, you could have a picnic in your yard, but we would usually think about picnic actually going someplace. Of course, a park being the most commonplace. And we can see with this illustration, sometimes I think the best way to learn our vocabulary words is explaining it. Sometimes the best way to learn our vocabulary words is just looking at our example pictures. And with that, here is our picture that is illustrating a picnic. So picnic is a meal and you're eating it outside, right? Let me check over. Okay, Rose asked, I'm going for a picnic with Leo and Steve this weekend. Do we say to a picnic or for a picnic? If you're going for a picnic, if you're collectively all going and you're together, then we'd say I'm going for a picnic. Now, if Leo or Steve were hosting, so they were putting on the picnic, they were in charge of the picnic, then you could say I'm going to a picnic, right? Great question, Rosa. So you could say either I'm going for a picnic with Leo and Steve, or you could say I'm going to a picnic with Leo and Steve. Great. Continuing on, probably. Now, probably is an adverb and it means almost certainly. So we're almost certain. We're not positive. We can't say absolutely yes or absolutely no. We can't say positively one way or the other. But with probably, we're saying it's almost certain. I'm almost sure. So looking at our picture, it will probably rain tonight. So we know with the weather, we can never say absolutely for sure this will happen, but we can say there's a very high probability. So it will probably rain. There's almost certain, there's a very likely chance, we're almost certain that it will rain. It will probably rain tonight. Once more, probably is our adverb. And quit. Why did you quit your job? So here's an example of the picture's good, but I think explaining it is the most helpful way. To quit is a verb and it just means to stop, all right, or to be done with. So that you can quit a job if you decide to leave a job, okay, you're no longer going to work there. In the same way, you could quit smoking or you could quit drinking coffee. All right, so it just means to stop. All right, you're no longer doing that thing. You're no longer doing that job. You're no longer smoking. You're no longer drinking coffee if you quit. So once more, quit is our verb and it just means to stop doing something, whatever that something is, right? So it looks like we are out of time. My gosh, our classes, time always goes so quickly being here, and that's exciting and it's fun because we have so much great information. So again, in review with today's class, we went over our time clauses and how we can use our main clause and our time clause together, and also how we can use them interchangeably, starting with one or the other, and how we use our commas. If you have any questions, I always recommend go back and watch the video again. Maybe the second time watching it, it'll make a little bit more sense. Or once more, as always, if you have questions that I wasn't able to get to in our lesson today, please post those questions or comments at the bottom of the video, and I will certainly do my best to get to those. So just checking. Oh, Rosa says we can replace it with may or might rain tonight. Absolutely. It may rain. It might rain. It probably will rain. So in each of those, we're just expressing that we think it's going to rain. We're not sure. We can't absolutely be positive, but we can say it might rain. It may rain. I'm almost certain that it will rain. It will probably rain. As always, wonderful observation, Miss Rosa. Thank you for that. Okay, guys, so I have to run to class now. It is morning here, and so we're getting ready to start class. But thank you all. Thank you guys so much for joining class today. I hope you learned. I hope in addition just to learning and getting a lot of great information, in addition, I hope you guys have fun. I always have fun. I'm always glad to see you. And until next week, as always, I wish you a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, or a good night, a good day. And until next Tuesday, I wish you a wonderful week. Goodbye, my lovely students. You're fantastic.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to our channel. Also, if you want the full experience of being a student in a Smrt Live class with things like homework and teacher feedback, follow the link and become a premium subscriber. Also, if you want to see more videos from this class, check out our playlist.